morning, dear students of class 10, all the sections. Today I am going to teach you the contribution of three important leaders of assertive nationalists: Bal Gangadhar Tilak of Maharashtra, Lajpat Rai of Punjab, and Bipin Chandra Pal of Bengal. Their picture is there. You have picture study also. Bipin Chandra Pal, Bal Gangadhar Tilak, and Lajpat Rai. Their contribution, the same chapter 4, that is partition of Bengal and other developments in Indian nationalist movement. Previous class we discussed and I given you question answer also through your WhatsApp groups. Please preserve the notes carefully. That assertive nationalists, the leaders, those are dominating Indian National Congress from 1905 to 1919. This time of assertive nationalists. They did not believe British ruling India, good for India. They wanted to oust British from India. Why? Because their ultimate goal was Purna Swaraj, absolute Swaraj, total independence. They had no faith in British justice, fair play and integrity. Their method, not like all nationalist, pair, petition and pleas methods. They believed unless they put strong pressure on the British government, they won't give us Swaraj. Therefore, their methods, very strong method, including Swadeshi, boycott, national education, self-sacrifice, hardships and self-reliance. Assertive nationalists, here I have to tell you one point. Actually, your syllabus it is written radical nationalism or extremism, but it is better to teach you the naming as assertive nationalist, not radicalist, because radicalist and extremism look like a revolutionary. So it is better to term them assertive nationalists. Assertive nationalists. These three, they were known as trio of Indian nationalist movement during the period of assertive nationalism. The trio of Indian, three people. One is Bipin Chandra Pal of Bengal, Bal Gangadhar Tilak of Maharashtra and Lajpat Rai of Punjab. Now coming to the contribution, out of all assertive nationalists, the three outstanding leaders, those were known as in history Lal Bal Pal, Bal Gangadhar Tilak of Maharashtra, Bipin Chandra Pal of Bengal and Lala Lajpat Rai of Punjab. And out of all three leaders, the most important leader was Bal Gangadhar Tilak. Bal Gangadhar Tilak was born 1856. You know the time, just 1 year after the first war of Indian independence, that is Sepoy Mutiny, was fought. He born such a revolutionary background and as belongs to Maharashtra, he founded 1884 Dokan Education Society, and his most important Especially, he raised the slogan, Swaraj is my birthright, I shall have it. Swadeshi and Swaraj became the battle cry of the assertive nationalist. And therefore, Bal Gangadhar Tilak clearly mentioned the strong pressure only required to achieve our goal, self-government or Swaraj. Tilak was a well-learned person. He, through his two weeklies, Keshari and Maratha, he popularized the idea of assertive nationalism. And in 1908, Tilak sentenced imprisonment, 6-month rigorous imprisonment. In 1896, he started non-rent campaign. He told the Indian peasant not to pay taxes to the Britishers. Tilak was not only outstanding assertive nationalist leader, but also he realized in India it is required to specially our old heritage and culture, to popularize our old heritage and culture and to spread the idea of patriotism. That is why he, 1903, he specially celebrated Ganapati festival. After 2 years, 1895, he also revived Shivaji festival in India, once again repeating 1893 Ganapati festival and 1895 Shivaji festival revived in India by Bal Gangadhar Tilak to popularize the idea of patriotism, instilled in the minds of Indian people to specially respect their heritage and culture. Tilak played very important role in 1906, that is Home Rule movement. In India. Very important. Along with Annie Besant, Irish lady, he founded Theosophical Society in India. Tilak started Home Rule movement in India for self-government. Even the most important part, he was outstanding writer. He wrote the book Orion, Arctic, Vedas, and also the very important role he played to spread the idea of Swadeshi during the anti-partition movement. In Maharashtra, he started Tilak Swaraj Fund to popularize the idea of Swadeshi. Bal Gangadhar Tilak's role in Indian, especially to the Indian freedom struggle movement, priceless. And he was actually called by the Britishers the unrest, the leader of unrest in India. Very important part. The Tilak's role to spread the idea of assertive nationalism, it helped future generation to achieve their goal, Swaraj. Now coming to the Lajpat Rai. Lajpat Rai's very important role belongs to assertive nationalism. Lajpat Rai, through his journals Young India, he popularized the idea of assertive nationalism. Tilak went in 1914 in London, and then he went from London to America, and he formed Home Rule movement there to achieve our goal, Swaraj. Lajpat Rai especially deported to Mandalay for rigorous imprisonment, and not only that, he played a very important role in 1920 Congress session. At this session, non-cooperation resolution was passed, and Especially, you know, Gandhi's first movement in India, non-cooperation movement, we'll discuss later on. It was especially the resolution passed, and he presided over the session. It is a Lahore session of the Congress, 1920. The resolution of non-cooperation passed under his presidency. Lajpat Rai, especially when Simon Commission visited to India in 1928, Lajpat Rai gave a leadership to protest against Simon Commission, the demonstration led by Lajpat Rai, and he was badly injured by the British police, Mr. Saunders, and he could not survive. Within 1 month, he died, and his death especially created a vacuum in Indian politics, and that is why Gandhi decided to start also non-cooperation movement. Not only that, that is a civil disobedience movement in India in 1930. Lajpat Rai, especially due to his fearless attitudes and bold leadership, he was called the Lion of Punjab, Sher-e-Punjab. Now coming to Bipin Chandra Pal. Bipin Chandra Pal belongs to Bengal, therefore he played very important role in anti-partition movement to popularize the idea of Swadeshi. Bipin Chandra Pal in 1887, that is third session of Indian National Congress, he attacked British policy, Return Policy Arms Act. He spoke very clearly that repeal of the Arms Act is very necessary for India because it's a racial policy adopted by British government in India. Bipin Chandra Pal, well-learned person, he especially played very important role to spread the idea of Swadeshi education, national education in India. He played very important role, and you know, during partition of Bengal, anti-partition movement, nearly 100 schools, national school, it was established in around Kolkata. These three leaders' contribution study very carefully through the picture study, because actually council clearly mentioned more than 2 contribution not required. But we discuss enough to you, study well, because they can ask question. Anytime question came, mention the name of two newspaper edited by Bal Gangadhar Tilak. Through this paper, he popularized the idea of assertive nationalists, that is a Keshari and Maratha. They many times ask question, the 2 important culture festival revived by Tilak, that is Shivaji festival and Ganapati festival. Like that question they can ask. Therefore, you study very carefully. Now coming to the point. This chapter we just now I completing today, and try to understand how to study the chapter thoroughly. You very clearly study the period 1905 to 1919. The period is described as the period of assertive nationalist. The 3 assertive nationalist leaders, Bal Gangadhar Tilak of Maharashtra, Bipin Chandra Pal of Bengal, and Lajpat Rai of Punjab. Then how to study? What was their aims and objective? Their aims and objective was total independence, self-government, Swaraj, Purna Swaraj. That is why Tilak said, Swaraj is my birthright, I shall have it. Then how to study next point? After objective, what was their beliefs? Their beliefs totally different from the early nationalists. At the time when early nationalists believed, they had full faith in British justice, fair play and integrity. Assertive nationalists, they had no faith in British justice, fair play and integrity. At the time when early nationalists, they are very loyal to the British government. The assertive nationalists, they were very disloyal to the British government. At the time when early nationalists, they believed British rule in India, good for India, best for India. The assertive nationalists, they believe British rule in India, cards for India. That is why they wanted to drive out British from India to achieve their goal, Swaraj. Now how to study? Then I discussed previous class, Surat split. Yes, the Surat split officially divided Congress into 2 groups, 2 sections. One is early nationalist or moderates, other is assertive nationalist or the radicalist. Especially Surat split, the time how to study, it have to study from 1905 session, 1905, 1906, 1907 session. 1905 session, it was when Bengal partition, the session was presided by Gopal Krishna Gokhale, a moderate leader at Benares session. And at this session, he protested partition of Bengal and he appealed to the people to popularize the idea of Swadeshi, but not boycott, because they were loyal to the British government. And the second point, very very important, 1906 session. 1906 session, it was a Kolkata session, very important session. At this session, they determined to bring, especially Indian president, Congress president, very moderate candidate. They did not like to bring already radical trends already started inside the Congress. Therefore, they wanted to appeal to bring Tilak or Lajpat Rai as the Congress president. Therefore, they called Dadabhai Naoroji from London, and he returned and his name proposed as the Congress president, and then finally he became the Congress president of India, and his name even asserted nationally also, not refusing, because not especially they accepted his name because why, you know, Dadabhai Naoroji was well respected leader from all the sections of Congress. Therefore, 1906 session supposed to Congress divide officially, but it was averted due to the leadership of Dadabhai Naoroji, who first time from Congress platform used the word Swaraj. Not only Swaraj, for important resolution were passed, Swadeshi boycott, national education and Swaraj. Then coming to the 1907 session, already difference came into forefront, these two groups of Congress leaders. Then question coming, how to achieve Swaraj? You also want self-government, we also want self-government, but moderate want self-government colonial form. But assertive nationalists want total independence. Then how to achieve Swaraj? Early nationalists said yes, Swaraj, if we wanted to achieve, we will achieve Swaraj through our prayer petition method. That is constitutional means. Assertive nationalists outrightly rejected. They said, unless we fail to put pressure on the British government, they won't give us Swaraj. Swaraj has to be fight for, not for beg. 20 years you dominated Indian National Congress. Do you think British handed over to Swaraj? Therefore, if we wanted to achieve Swaraj, we have to fight for. Therefore, they wanted to achieve Swaraj through unconstitutional means, that is including Swadeshi boycott, self-reliance, hardships. And the third point coming to that one, finally, Surat session. 1907. Then question coming, who became the Congress president? Then name proposed by the early nationalist, Raj Bihari Ghosh, very moderate candidate. And Tilak wanted to become either Tilak or Lajpat Rai, they wanted to become the Congress president at Surat session. Assertive nationalists determined not to bring any moderate candidate as the Congress president at Surat session. Finally, his name proposed and his name announced as the Congress president. Tilak was very much especially dissatisfied, and especially Lajpat Rai, not possible for him to the Congress president, and the session was especially failed in mess, and finally Congress officially divided into moderate and assertive nationalists. You have to study step by step. Then we have discussed the point, especially that today we discussed the three leaders' contribution to the Indian nationalist movement. Dear student, you study their contribution according to the picture study. They can ask, like a picture, they can ask, identify the pictures of each leader, which groups they belongs to, what was their objective, what were their methods of struggle. Like that question they can ask. Then they can ask question, mention any two contribution of each leader to the freedom struggle movement. So you study very carefully, and I requested you to write all the short question from the textbook, your exercise copy. And the broad question last I given from Partition Bengal, and this one you write down what question I discussed. I am writing here, this question please copy and write. With reference to the period of assertive nationalism. Explain. State any two differences between them on the following points. A1, basic beliefs and objectives. A2, methods of struggle. Section B question. Who were known as the trio of assertive nationalism. Assertive nationalist. Mention any two contribution of each of the trio of Indian nationalists to the freedom struggle movement. Yes, student. The question I am giving to you after my thorough discussion, that state any two differences between early nationalist and assertive nationalist on the following points: basic beliefs and objectives. The difference between basic beliefs and objectives, method of struggle. You write the differences between early nationalist and the assertive nationalist. And the second part, who were known as the trio of assertive nationalists, and mention any two contribution each of the trio of Indian nationalists to the freedom struggle movement of India. This question write very carefully according to the way I discuss with you. Two contribution, you write the name of each leader, and two contribution you explain. And study textbook thoroughly. All the short questions due from the textbook according to the syllabus. This syllabus clearly mentioned specially two contribution of each of the leaders and the objective and method of the nationalist. Thank you, dear student. Stay home, stay safe.